The Ghaster is classified as a hidden entity because it cannot be tracked on the map. Usually, people struggle to deal with the Ghaster because they do not have much experience with it. However, if you know the basic strategy, the Ghaster should not cause too many problems. You are unable to lure Ghaster out of the corridor that it spawns in unless you aggro it. However, this is pretty much a death wish because it has insane speed and you won't be able to dodge it. Luckily, it has a super small aggro range, so we can use this to our advantage. As long as you trail behind it without ever getting too close, you can follow it and hit buttons along the way. On darker maps, an enemy distance tracker might help you trail behind Ghasters easily. If you don't have one, you might find that there is a bigger challenge doing this. The same rule still applies though. Don't get too close, or you'll be a dead man. Bozo, also known as the Clown, is also a hidden entity because it cannot be tracked on the map. Now, the two things to keep in mind with the Clown is that first, it can only spawn on floors 5+. So if you know you have a hidden entity on the map, but the floor is under 5, you must know that there is a 0% chance that the Clown can spawn. The other thing to keep in mind is that the Clown will rarely spawn at all because it only has a rarity of 100. Of course, there is an exception to this rule. There's a map called Balloon House that only spawns rarely on floors 10+. If you happen to get this map, you will have a pretty difficult time as the only entities on this map are clowns. Now, even though the clown is hidden, you can still tell it apart from other enemies because it has a distinct laugh that plays pretty often. Here, listen to the sound clip. Now, when you do encounter the clown, it's not as threatening as you might think. The stats are the same as the Wanderer, so it's pretty much just a hidden Wanderer. Just don't get caught out in the open as you would with any other entity, or the clown will just murder you. The Seeker is an entity that has the description is constantly seeking out its prey. With this type of description, you might think that the Seeker is pretty hard to deal with, but as you see ahead, it really isn't. First, if you look at the stats, it doesn't really have a fast walk speed at all, and is only found on floors 5+. Additionally, it hardly even spawns at all because it only has a rarity of 100. The Seeker does have a bit larger aggro range than the Wanderer, but due to its low walk speed, it shouldn't pose much of a threat if you keep your distance. Additionally, the Seeker does tend to walk towards players more often. It also has a special aggro sound. Listen. If you do happen to die to the Seeker, it has a pretty cool death sound also. Identity, also known as the Mimic, is a hidden entity that tends to trick a lot of players. The most important thing here is that it has a rarity of 350, which is still pretty common. This also makes it one of the most common hidden entities to spawn. Therefore, when I see that there's a hidden entity on the map, I always assume that there might be a mimic on the map. So this is why it's important to watch your surroundings. The mimic's special ability is that it can transform into any random player in the server. Yes, this includes people in the lobby. Additionally, it has an Easter egg function that not a lot of people know about. On a rare occasion, it can transform into anyone on this list. You can probably tell that this ability is pretty annoying on public servers, because people will just walk into the Mimic as if it's a normal player. If you know that you're dealing with a Mimic, you shouldn't have too much problems, because the Mimic has the same walk speed and run speed as a normal Roblox player. Just keep your distance, keep running, and you should be fine. Bevil, also known as the Jester, is commonly cited as one of the most dangerous entities in the game. Due to its low rarity of 10, most people do not have experience with the Jester. It has a very fast walk speed, a very fast run speed, and the description states that the Jester continues to teleport randomly across the map. So, if this entity happens to spawn in for you, it's not looking pretty good. When the Jester spawns in your map, it will have a special loading message that pops up. Here, take a look. Yeah, so if that doesn't scare you enough, remember when I say it can teleport? Well, look at the map. Did you see that? Combine this with its fast run speed, and you're kinda in a sticky situation right now. When the Jester spawns in, you're on a time crunch. The best way to deal with the Jester is to either place down Detour Beacon or Lure Beacon in order to control where the Jester teleports. If you do this, you might have enough time to get all of the buttons. And sometimes you just have to go for it, even if it's really, really impossible. And if you happen to be like me, where you get two Chesters to spawn in on the same floor, well, you're pretty much going to die. There's no way out of this.